Today on this Take Charge Tuesday, we are going to be talking about how you cannot become like your mother. I know so many of us, when we're growing up, we think, oh my gosh, I don't want to turn out like my mom. I don't want to turn out like my mom. And of course, we love our mothers. We absolutely love our mothers. But there are some traits that we do not desire to have. And so we desperately think, okay, I don't want to be like my mom. I don't want to be like my mom. I don't want to be like my mom. And this happens anyways. And so today I want to talk to you about beliefs. But before I get into that, I just want to share with you a little story. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a holistic career coach, the founder of My Promotion Plan, a company that champions women and helps them to advance in their careers. We work with women individually. We also work with companies and organizations that also look to partner and champion women in their organization. So we create leadership tracks and foundational elements to create great workplaces that are full of equity and inclusion. Okay, so my mom, she has this great story she loves to tell. Every year around May, whenever prom season comes up, my mom shares this story, and she shares her story of her experience with prom. And for my mom never got to go to prom when she was in high school because she didn't have a date, and so her mother wouldn't let her go to prom. Well, when I was in high school, I was a sophomore. We went to the store. We bought this beautiful royal blue dress. I loved it. It was probably one of my most favorite dresses I'd ever bought up until that point. And that dress was whisked back to the store weeks later because I didn't have a date to go to prom. And it never really occurred to me at that time that, my mom didn't get to go to prom. I didn't get to go to prom because I didn't have a date. But as I've learned things over the years, I've learned how and why we make these decisions and why we have these beliefs. So something as innocent as my mom not getting to go to prom translated into me not getting to go to prom. And there is a very specific example of how we say we don't want to be like our parents or our mother, but then there we go, making the same exact decision. Now, in my mom's case, she'll tell you, well, she's old-fashioned. She guesses she's old-fashioned, and that's why. Well, of course, we're always going to justify why we make the decisions that we do. That's part of how our bodies operate. That's how our egos operate, because our beliefs can't be wrong, right? We always think that we're going to be right. And so the truth is we all have subconscious beliefs. We have conscious beliefs and subconscious beliefs. I'm not going to have a lot of time to get really deep into all of that today. I will put a link for my book below in which I go over all of the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, how it works, and really how beliefs are unwound. But today I just want to talk to you more about the subconscious mind. And this runs 95% of our lives. 95% of our lives are run by our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind, it's run off of programs and our beliefs. Now, I love this proverb. Proverb 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, and even when he is old, he will not depart from it. Now, here's what we know about the subconscious mind. From birth through 7 is when the majority of the programs in the subconscious mind are created. Now, some of those programs can be created up through age 12, but the majority is when we're younger. Now, beliefs and programs can be created in other ways, and we'll go over those in just a minute, but the majority of them are when we're younger. And it's not just things that we're experiencing, it's also things that we're seeing, things that we're hearing. And so our environment plays a really big role in the things that we think and the things that we believe when we're in adulthood. So sometimes we have a subconscious program or a subconscious belief that is actually holding us back from being successful. I say this a lot of time with the women that I work with in their careers, whether it's that they didn't have a working mother, whether it's that maybe their father didn't like their mother working, maybe they didn't see somebody in the role that they really truly desire and would be great at. So they don't really see these things as possible for them. There's a belief in there. Sometimes we have limiting beliefs about money and our value and our worth. And all of these things subconsciously hold us back the same way that my mom held me back from not going to prom because her mom held her back. We repeat these same actions over and over again. And then we think that it is our environment that is actually controlling us. So, what I want to do is just talk for a few more minutes about how we develop our beliefs, and then I'm going to talk to you about how you can change those beliefs. So, we already talked about our early childhood programming. That is one way that you can change a belief. The second way that you can create or develop a belief or change a belief, they're the same whether you're developing or changing, you can use repetition. Now, you've probably heard about habits before, right? Do something for 21 days and you can create a new habit. Well, 21 days works for some people, others have to go longer because you really do have to change the belief. And if you're only doing behavior modification, it doesn't change anything. But repetition does create programs. That's why the first time that you go to do something like tie your shoe or drive a car, you really have to pay attention. You're not very good at it. You can remember, probably several times when you were learning how to drive, you can think back and you can remember these times. I can remember a time I was in a car and I accidentally turned into the wrong lane. We can remember these things because it's a conscious thought at that time. But over time, you probably drive home sometimes or tie your shoes sometimes and you don't even remember doing it. And that's because those programs, because of that repetition over time, have created a subconscious program. So it's really great that our body doesn't have to pull all the energy to be able to, tie the shoe or drive a car. We don't have to consciously be thinking about these things all the time. But that's just helping us to understand that we have these programs that are ingrained in us. And so maybe driving a car, tying our shoe, those are good programs, but other programs like how our mother acted when we were young may not be something that we want to replicate, but we saw it over and over again. So even as a teenager, you could have had programs created by your mom because something happened over and over and over again. Maybe she nagged you about your homework or when you were going to bed. And maybe that's something that you do today with your children as well. The third way to develop a belief is through being inspired. So it's really when we have an inspirational or an emotional moment. Now, this could be a positive inspiration or this could be a negative inspiration. So in my mother's case, it was a negative emotional moment that she had when she didn't get to go to prom. And so that stored that in her subconscious that nope, we don't go to prom unless we have dates. That's what was stored into her subconscious mind. That was the belief that she had, and that was the belief that she put forward into the future. Now, when we have maybe we get inspired. Maybe you're watching a video and you get inspired to take the next step in your career. You get inspired to lose weight. You get inspired to do a new program. Any of these things, when you have an inspiration or a desire, that is when you can start to change a belief. When you get some new information, it can spark that change in you. And that's exactly what happened for me years ago when I first heard Dr. Bruce Lipton speaking. He was actually teaching about the subconscious mind. And I had heard about it just a little bit before that, but the way that he taught it sparked something in my mind. And literally, I had tears running down my face because as he shared that we could change our programs, that could change our lives, I knew I wanted to create a new belief. And that was the day that I decided that I could, in fact, read and write and spell, something that I had struggled with since I was 6 years old. But because I now knew that whenever we're young, especially before the age of 7, we're creating these programs that stay with us through the rest of the life. So whenever I had this moment, this inspiration, I decided in that moment. And that's one of the 4 steps. So the next thing I want to cover here are the 4 steps to creating a new belief. So the first one's a desire, right? So we have our desire. And so I heard Dr. Lipton, I was excited, I was inspired. The second thing is we make a decision. And this is as simple as, in that moment, I said, okay, well, if this is why I have this program, if this is why I act in this way, this is why I'm not good at reading, writing, and spelling, because I've just been continually telling myself this all of my life, I'm going to change this belief. And so I, in fact, can read, write, and spell. Now, of course, I couldn't do it all right in that moment, but the next important part is step 3, and that's to have a plan. You have to have a system or a plan for how you're going to move things forward. So in my case, when I knew I was going to start to write, I hired a company to help me write my book. So I've got a structure, I've got a system, I've got a team of people that are supporting me through this process. Now, if you can have a plan, right, like so with your career advancement, you could use something like the My Promotion Plan, or when I was creating a new belief around running, I got a running guide to learn how to run a marathon. So you can certainly get plans out there. And if somebody's already done something, that's a great way to have a proven plan that you can just follow those actions day by day to get to the desired result. That's a great idea. But then the other thing you can do is if you don't have a plan, you can use a simple if, when, then statement. And Dr. Robert Cialdini talks about this in his book, Persuasion. And he talks about these statements and how powerful they are. And just by including an if, when, then statement, people have been known to do incredible things. They can lose more weight. They can take the actions than they want. And this is what it looks like. Let me give you a couple examples of if, when, then statements. So the first one, we'll do this for maybe you're trying to lose weight or diet or something like that. And you could create an if, when, then statement that sounds like this. If I get hungry before lunch, then I'll eat vegetables. Or you can make it, if I get hungry before lunch, then I'll drink a glass of water and take a 10-minute walk. Okay, so say you're wanting to be more vocal at work. You could create an if, when, then statement that sounds like this. If I have an idea during a meeting, then I'll share it confidently with the team. Just by setting up these statements, you start to program your mind to already know which action to take, already know which decision you are going to make. So this is a simple tool that you can add to any plan to help you anytime that you come up against a struggle. The fourth thing that you need to do to create a new belief is to take action. So once you have a plan, it's not enough just to have the plan, you have to take that consistent action. And if you'll take the consistent actions, then you will see over time that you are going to accomplish things the same way as I got up each morning and I started to write, and I'd write a few hundred words, and then the next day I'd get up and I'd write more, and the next day I'd get up and I'd write more, and the next day I got up and I wrote more. And just that consistency in writing and then editing helped me to come to the final book. So I went from someone that said her whole life up until the age of 35 that I couldn't read, write, or spell to somebody that is now writing a book. And I know these actions seem simple, but what starts to happen as you take that action is something really incredible, because your mind stops fighting you. At first, it's like the writing is hard, right? It's hard to take those actions because your body is saying, no, that's not who I am. That's not what I do. But over time, you start to be able to take those actions with more ease, and you can actually change your belief. So as I said, I can't get into every single detail. If you'd like to learn more, then you can register at the link below, maryjervich.com. You can go there to register for the upcoming book and to learn more information about the promotion planning process. But with your parenting and with your not wanting to become like your mom, I want to share one final story with you and leave you with this. Because we really do have choices when we have awareness. And now that you're going to be thinking, well, why am I acting like this? You are going to have a greater awareness around the choices that you're making in your parenting. And when you can bring those subconscious thoughts into the conscious, then you can change what's happening. For me, it looked like this. I was making decisions in my family. I would tell my kids, well, we have to do this or we need to do that. And my husband came to me one day and he said, Mary, why are we having our kids do all this stuff? Didn't you hate doing this stuff when your mom made you do it? And I said, yeah, I hated it, but well, I had to do it anyways. I'm fine. And he's like, well, just consider this. Just because your mom made you do it doesn't mean that you have to also have our children do it. In that moment, that small conversation really has changed the trajectory of my parenting and my ability to not just act like my mom or my dad. Because each time I'm making a parenting decision, I take a step back to think, okay, am I making this decision because it was something that was a tradition or something that was done in my home when I was growing up? Or is this really producing the best outcome for my children? Is this creating the environment in the desired situation that I want for them? And when I can bring those subconscious thoughts into the conscious, I can then make an informed decision to say, no, this isn't how I want to parent. I don't want to make my kids do the exact same thing I did. And there's healthy ways to do things that we can actually change and make a positive impact on our children moving forward. It might be simple as not making your kids clear their whole plate, because we know at the end of the day, if we feel like we have to eat all the food on our plate, that can result in some pretty unhealthy eating habits. So I encourage you to take a look at your parenting, or maybe you're not a parent, maybe it's just with friends or relatives, and the way that you're acting. See if you have any subconscious programs that are coming up that are making you act like your mother, and so you can say, wait, I don't really want to act in that way. It's not the way I have to act anymore. You can choose to be different. You can take charge today. Thank you so much for joining me again. Once again, Mary Jervich here with maryjervich.com, helping to champion women in their careers. Have a great day and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.